Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome to JAM307, Promotion and Monetization Strategies with BlackBerry World. I'm Peter Val, and I'm here with my colleague Jeff Marzak, and really excited to talk to you today about getting a little deeper in things you need to know when you are monetizing your products. There's sort of three main topics we'll cover today. We'll do some sort of tips and a quick tour of the BlackBerry World storefront on BlackBerry 10. And then we really want to get into reaching your customers with relevance. So looking at your installed base, some strategy and what you might want to do to make sure that you reach the base that you want to, the way you want to. And that gets into platform considerations as well as language and country considerations. So very key to making sure that you provide the experience that you want to. Another big topic we want to talk about today is search engine optimization. There's been some changes, and we really want to highlight those to you today to make sure that you guys are optimizing within the storefront so that users can easily find your content, because obviously search is key. In case you guys are wondering about, just take a step back, if you're wondering about any of the services available to you through our payment services. There was a previous session, JAM346, we talked about that a little bit. And then there's some other sessions by Garrett Bukaboom, who will go over, I think it's after this? Yeah. It's after this session. He's going to go into a little more technical detail on how to really implement and leverage some of those services. So let's do a quick tour of the store. So this is what the storefront looks like. Enhanced UI looks really beautiful. We've included all new content types with video and music. So you have a lot more people come to the store. Things look really, really good. We really have a nice enhanced UI. So we have our feature carousel here. This auto rotates. Users can also swipe through. Really nice, clean UI. This is your product title as well as your price will be displayed in that bar there. This is an area called the micro banners. This isn't available to third parties. This is actually what our team does, and we leverage those placements for promotions. You might get included in some of those promotions, so if you happen to be part of the Ultimate Gamer or Capture the Moment, when a user clicks on that, your content might be in there. On some countries, this space will actually be reserved for carrier channel, which is carriers will be able to populate some content there that they feel like they want to highlight to their customers. So that varies by carrier. There's also some new areas within the storefront. So we have trending apps and games. As well, soon there'll be grossing, which is net new to our storefront. We're really excited about having that to make sure that those grossing apps get more visibility. There's also sort of the standard free and paid lists. These are all auto-populated. There's not they're auto-generated, I should say. And then we get into the details. Now, actually, before I go do that, there's some key things, there's some key details here that you really want to consider when you're trying to go to market and monetize, because there's some opportunities. So looking at the feature carousel, okay, this is your poster, this is your promotional space. You need to maximize this space. I see so many times vendors just taking their product icon, which is fairly common, and then just sticking it in this, and it looks terrible. Okay? Use the space, maximize the space. Think about the font. The minimum font size you want is about 120 pixels high. Okay, that's what's going to display nicely, and you can make it larger if you like, but 120 pixels is sort of the minimum pixel height that you want to display in the store. You also kind of want to leave a bit of an edge. There is some slight cropping around the edges. It's about less than 10%. But there is some cropping there that you want to take into consideration. But make it visually stunning, make it beautiful. You hear this a lot about your apps in general, but make sure your promotions are really beautiful as well. So get a graphic artist to do it for you. It's a big opportunity for you. This is really your shingle or your promotion or your poster within the storefront. So make sure it's really good. Oftentimes we'll see great apps that we want to feature, and they have a very poor feature banner, and sometimes we don't feature them because we just can't, because it just doesn't look good. So that's a consideration. So you need to know that. You need to make a good feature image. It is a little bit bizarre when you go and see the requirements. It's 1920 by 1186 pixels, so it's a pretty big image that we're actually shrinking down into the storefront. We do that for various reasons, but it is something that just for you to be aware of. The project icon, pretty standard across across platforms. Nothing really too interesting there. So to get into the metadata, and we'll start to get into this a little bit more. So obviously you have the name, you'll have your rating in terms of the reviews, as well as the content rating. That one says G, or it could be A if you get into adult content. Screenshots. There was actually in our previous session I was in, a gentleman was asking, those aren't localized yet. We'll get into all that and then talk about some of the considerations there. But definitely something you want to have. Again, it's a big lost opportunity if you're not putting in screenshots. We've seen some that do it. It's actually something we're going to look to try and correct from a store perspective, that your apps will be forced to have screenshots, or else you'll have some. We'll probably tell you that to take down your app. Short description is usually there's the first line, and then it gets right into the long description. Some opportunities there as well. So looking at descriptions a little bit more detailed, this is an opportunity again to message your content. Why is your app great? Why is your game great? What makes it stand out from the others? And a lot of it is just really simple things like layouts. So use some white space, in terms of, have a bit of a gap so that's easier to read. Use bullets or numbering or lists to allow, easy viewing, easy consumption, right? As users going through a description, they can say, yeah, this sounds great, or sounds really cool, I really want this. Little things like that, little details can really make a big difference. So make sure that you're looking to do that. Avoid lengthy paragraphs. You see a lot of vendors with crazy long paragraphs, and it's just, no one's going to read it. Another thing to note is hyperlinks will not function as part of the description. So just don't bother putting them in. If you really want to, I guess you can, but don't expect them to work. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of search, a neat thing within the store is it'll remember your search. So recent searches will pop up. So if you have, from a user perspective, that's kind of cool. If they can always search if there's new apps for, I don't know, the UK. They can search the UK and see what pops up, and there might be some new content there each week. Nothing really there for you to necessarily do. That's just sort of a store feature. But when we get into the search terms and optimization, then it comes and takes to effect. So that's something to consider. So search is obviously a huge discovery point, and it's something you really want to optimize for. So a massive consideration, and actually I'll just do a quick poll in the room. Who has a BlackBerry OS or Playbook app today? Okay, so, sorry? Do you have an app for BlackBerry Playbook or for BlackBerry 5, 6, or 7? Okay. So a lot of you, the majority of you. So this is really important. And actually, well, the whole thing's really important, but this is really important to consider, because there's some pros and some negatives, and some things we're working on to fix, but some things aren't going to be fixed today. So if you want to reach your current base on a BlackBerry OS, so that's BlackBerry 5, BlackBerry 6, or BlackBerry 7, or BlackBerry Playbook, there's some key considerations you have to look at here. Same thing with the tablet. So the strategy is you need to organize when you go into the vendor portal. You have to organize your products in order to make this all happen the way you want it to. So there's things that in terms of that are supported by platforms. So there's metadata that's supported by platform. So the product name is supported by different. So you can have by platform different names if you like. You can have different icons if you like. You can have different featured images by platform. You can have different descriptions by short and long by platform. Different screenshots, different keywords, different ratings and reviews. Jeff will go into those a little bit more detail as well, and for language and country. One thing that doesn't change is pricing. Pricing is, you have one price per product SKU. So if you want to differentiate your price, you need to add another SKU. there's opportunity for you to monetize or charge for a release. So that's something you can do. You can charge money for a new release, but you know, so you can do that within the SKU. But if you want to like a completely different price, you'll have to have a new product SKU. Yep.
I was not able to update the price. Like we cannot update the price of the product.
You can change the price.
I was not able to do. Just 15 days ago, I was not able to.
There's a BlackBerry World booth out in the main foyer. There's some people there. If you go explain your problem to them, they can help you.
Oh, that's a little bit different. So if you're changing, yeah, that's a little bit different. So the question was, I can't change from free to paid, and what you're doing is you're changing your license type. You can't do that on your own. You'll have to contact us. That's restricted. So the key question is, what do you want your installed base on either BlackBerry OS, so 5, 6, or 7, or Playbook to get your BlackBerry 10 app for free, and have it available in the My World section of the device? So within, if you go to the storefront, you can go to the bottom left and click on menu, go to My World, and if you want the user to see, your app there and available for download, you're going to have to submit, your BlackBerry 10 app to that same product SKU. Okay? So if you want that to happen, if that's important to you, then you need to do that. That's the only path for you. If it's not a big deal to you and you want to change some things, and we'll go through that a little bit more detail, then you can have a new product SKU, and that's fine. So you can make it if you want to make it for free, or if you want to charge it a different price, you can do that. So just thinking about the decision tree, so it's like, do you have a BlackBerry OS or Playbook customers? Yes or no? If yes, do you want to give do you want the app to appear in the store and have the users be able to download for free? Then definitely, submit it to the same product SKU, and they'll go and get that product really seamlessly, beautiful experience, perfect. If the answer is no, then you want to potentially consider having a new product SKU for BlackBerry 10. So in which case you have to change the name slightly, and then you have to upload the metadata for all that new product SKU as well. Now, that's just on the platform side of things. And now Jeff's going to take it away and get into the country and language considerations that you want to look at, and how you may want to adjust your strategy.
I don't need the pointer.
You don't need the pointer?
Yeah.
All right. That's fun. Sure.
Can I use different names for different softwares? I mean, for a tablet, for a...
Yes.
You have to. You can't actually use the same name.
For example, if the name is sketch already used for some application for a BlackBerry 7, can I use the same name if it doesn't my application in BlackBerry 10?
I don't think I understood the question. So.
Yeah.
If someone catch the name, for example, BlackBerry, it's the application for a BlackBerry 7 operating system. Is this name free in BlackBerry 10?
If you submit if it's your SKU, so if you're, we'll change the name because it might be a bit confusing if you call it BlackBerry. We'll call it Apple, or maybe that's a bad one. We'll call it ABC. So if you have an app, it's ABC, and you submit a new BlackBerry 10 version to that, the search and everything will be the same. It's the same name. You haven't changed anything. All you've done is submitted a new release under that same product SKU. If you want to add a new version, a new product SKU, the name has to be different. So you can't have ABC. It has to be ABC space or ABC D.
But if you have ABC as your product in BlackBerry World today, and it's available on BB7, and it's called ABC, and you add BB10 support to that same product, you could change the name and call it ABC for BlackBerry 10, and that will show it only to BlackBerry 10 customers. So you can have a different name that's platform specific. So Playbook being one platform, BlackBerry OS 7 below being another platform, and BlackBerry 10 smartphone being the third. And those can all be housed within one product in BlackBerry World. So it allows you to do some increased relevance based on the platform that you're targeting. And the same is true for, just to reemphasize this point, the icon that you use can be different or optimized for the BlackBerry 10 device, and it can be a little different or optimized for the Playbook versus the BBOS. The same thing for the other items. Descriptions is quite a big one. There's functionality available that probably in your BlackBerry 10 device that you want to market that is very different from what's available on the Playbook or a BBOS device. So this gives you the ability to really tailor your marketing message to the right audience. And that's just on the platform side. The whole next part of this gets into, well, now you have countries and languages as well. If you're really thinking about targeting a diverse audience around the world, how do you handle that in addition to the fact that we have these platforms?
There is one issue, like I don't know about the newer release which you have done last week, but before that, till last week, there was one issue that like the uploading process was very, very slow. And specifically, if you had to upload 10 apps, it took just full day to upload 10 apps. Because there is one important issue, like when you upload these screenshots and all, so what it does is, if it has to show just this big size of the screenshot or the icon, it has to download everything. Like the server side, it should cache the small icons. What it does is, like you take a 2000 pixel image, and what you do is that every time you go to a new screen, and if it has to show a small icon of that image, it downloads the full 3 MB, 4 MB image, and it becomes a very painful process, because like it uploads 3 MB, then downloads 3 MB, then in next screen it again shows you 3 MB. Then it becomes a very slow process.
So this is very good feedback. Maybe you can stay at the end of the session and give us a little bit more detail, and we'll
you should have some bulk uploading features, because like in Portathons and all, it became very big problem to upload things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get a little off topic, but yeah, we can talk after. Sorry.
So yeah, please see us at the end of this show. And there's also some more technical experts who understand the process of publishing into the system. They're at the BlackBerry World booth, which is in the main foyer. So what Peter and I do is focus on marketing apps to the consumer base across the world. We've got a team of people who help to do that. And we want to make you successful with capabilities and tools in order to maximize discovery of your products through BlackBerry World. So we covered this in terms of, if you have a base that you want to bring over to BlackBerry 10, you have to add BlackBerry 10 support to your current product. And that will allow it to be available in BlackBerry 10 with your customers move over. It'll be available in their My World, and it'll be easy to download. If you don't want to do that, the customer will have to find your product again and download it. So it's really about how valuable is your customer base, how important is it, versus the pros and cons or the trade-offs of attaching BlackBerry 10 support to your current product, or thinking about some of these country and language considerations that we're going to go into here. As people building great things, you have to think about what countries and languages do my target customers, are my targeted customers. And there's lots of countries, lots of languages. And how do you take this focus and this target market and execute on it within BlackBerry World? Essentially, there are 4 possibilities if you look at language and country. One country with a single language, one country with multiple languages, multiple countries sharing a common language, most common English-speaking markets, which is a very large audience. And number 4, which is truly global. Multiple countries, multiple languages. How do you do this in BlackBerry World? How do you maximize your ability to reach this market or these markets with a relevant offer on the store? Excuse me. I cough around the microphone. So we talked about some of the marketing information or the attributes or the metadata, depending on the level of technical jargon. for the platform-specific capabilities. Well, this gets into what is specific to a language, what is specific to a country. Now, these things will help to dictate what's possible in terms of reaching the audience. And that's another reason why we showed the screenshots and the experience up front. So you now understand from a consumer perspective, what do they see? And now you have to think about, how do I maximize the relevance of these items to this consumer in the target market? Language specific, name, icon, descriptions, keyword. What's not language specific within that product? Featured images and screenshots. So Peter emphasized the importance of the feature image, especially in that promotional space at the top. The challenge, it's not language specific. We have options to make that less painful. Pricing, not language specific. Country specific is your product availability. You control where that product is available. Most people tend to make it available everywhere. But there are certain reasons why you want to limit it to a certain geography. And we'll cover a little bit of that. Also not country specific, name, icon, pricing, imagery, descriptions, and keywords. So now you have a sense of what's available to be targeted. So we looked at how do we present that relevant offer to the consumer, and we came up with 3 options, understanding what can and can't be done from a language and a country perspective. I'll run through the options, and then I'll talk about how they map into your focus. And the next few slides will go into specific details on each of these focus areas and what the consumer experience will be. Again, to arm you with pros and cons in terms of your path forward to bringing your products to market on BlackBerry World. First option is you create one product within the store with a language-specific feature image and screenshots. And the intent here is that this is really going to be focused on a single country and language. Option B, you do the same thing with a single product, but the marketing imagery that you create has to be generic. So your feature image, while important, has to avoid language. It should be more icon-based. Challenging, but possible. Option C, submit separate products into BlackBerry World and organize them around languages or countries in order to get to a more relevant product offer within the store. There's some challenges because you have multiple products to manage, but it's the effort associated with that against the relevancy provided to your target market and helping them to find something that's important to them. In terms of those options, A, B, and C, we created a quick matrix to say, what are the most appropriate ones given your focus? My guess is a lot of people want to focus on multiple countries and multiple languages, right? The biggest market opportunity. And you can see that there's 2 possibilities there. But some folks may just want to focus on one country, one language. Spanish and Spain, because there's a Spanish application. It's really only relevant to that market. Option A. Quick show of hands. How many people are interested in one country, one language as their focus? Anybody? You're all ambitious.
One.
All right. One country and multiple languages. For example, Canada, French, English. Anyone interested in that? Something like that. We go. One person. Everyone's very ambitious. Multiple countries and one language. So the English-speaking market, which is gigantic. All right, a lot of people want to focus on Spanish is another one across a large audience. Chinese. There's 2 flavors of that. So lastly, multiple countries, multiple languages. They want to go global. Who wants to go global? Okay, so not as many people as I thought.
One small
Yep.
question. The last option C, don't you get a big problem when people switch stores because they switch countries? Then they bought all the applications for one store. When they switch, it's a different ID, so they don't do updates anymore.
When you switch stores.
Well, it's not like this. I'm not a BlackBerry developer yet.
Uh-huh.
Apple, you have to switch stores if you switch countries. Let's say I move to Germany or I move to the States. Then I switch my store from Netherlands to the States, I access a different store, but if the ID of my app is the same, I can still get downloads from it. But
You'll still get
this
updates.
case, it will change.
Yeah, you'll still get updates. Maybe if you can save that question a little bit toward the end. One country, one language. So nobody was interested in this. One person. So essentially, we're going to run through the consumer experience that you get by choosing this option. Controlling availability by country, yes, you can do it. You can optimize your pricing for that country. We have a price tiering system, which has a built-in kind of exchange rate that we set and refactor every once in a while. So if you want to make your app 99 cents, and that's the most important thing for the certain country, you can do that because you're really not worried about the other markets.
And like for example, currently the exchange rate of euro and dollar is different. So for how much euros will that same app be?
Can you hold the question toward the end, and we'll come back to that. Language-specific feature image, yes, you can now target your feature image because you're focused on that market. Make it in Spanish if you're targeting Spain. Description, keywords, your deep link, which is important for outside of the store marketing if you want to do email campaigns or social. And then just the ability to share. There's a lot of talk about the invocation, the sharing framework throughout the conference. This makes it very easy to ensure that sharing, whether it's through BBM or other channels, happens. One country, multiple languages. I don't think anyone picked this option, so I'm just going to go to the next one. Multiple country in one language. There's two approaches here. Actually, I combined option A and B, which is one product submission, and I compared it against option C, which is multiple products optimized potentially for those countries. So if you want to control availability, it's the same for both. If you want to focus on different pricing for those markets, you need to do option C, separate products. So if you want to give your product away for free in the US, because that's your business model, but say in the UK, you want to charge money for it, then you need to submit two separate products. So it's completely based on your pricing strategy per country.
But the name cannot be the same now because of the different SKUs.
That is correct. That is correct. You'd have to have a separate name. So you might need to have product name UK, product name US. The other key difference, just highlighting the red, is deep links. So if you have multiple products in the system, you need to have multiple deep links. So again, if you're doing outbound outside of the BlackBerry world marketing, you're going to have to think about specifically your audience and then drive them into that link.
Sorry, lots of questions.
Yeah.
With the last point, if I share my UK-based app to a friend in Canada, will that redirect them to the Canadian version, or will that direct them just to the UK version?
It will not redirect them. What you can do is make the Canadian version available. Sorry, make the Canadian version available everywhere, just from a product availability perspective. Same thing with the UK version. And when the person in the UK shares it, they will still get access to the product, and they'll be able to purchase and download it. The only issue or challenge is that the feature image and some of the screenshots will be really optimized for the UK. But they'll still be able to get to the product. So there's really no limitation other than the fact that you're losing a little bit of relevance in it. And I think what we're going to do, actually we talked about this when we were kind of scribbling through the session, is come up with a visual example of how to do this. Because I think it's going to be a common use case in order to get viral distribution. You want to make sure that you set up the products properly in the store. But you're really not limited other than the fact that you lose a little bit of relevance.
Another way to do it would be to share. You can search by vendor names, or even if you're on your website, like you could have a link that brings up all the products that you distribute, and it'll have each of those listed essentially. But if I'm a user on a device, it would only show me the one that's relevant to me. So like on our web store, on our web view, you'd be able to see sort of all the products listed. But if you sort of sort by country, whatever, it'll all of a sudden collapse and only show you the ones that are relevant. But on a device, that happens automatically, so it'll only show you the relevant ones. So that's another way to overcome sort of sharing that way. It's just not in the device like that, right? So when you go to share an app in the device, it doesn't perform that way.
But if I'm sharing my British app with someone in Canada, then I can't control the price of what it would be in Canadian dollars because using the
That's correct.
Correct. Yep.
That's correct.
There is no way of grouping the apps into one. Like obviously there are different SKUs, but there is no way to relate them in the app.
No, and that's why when we talked about the hyperlinks in the description not working, it's exactly to answer that. Is there's no simple way to connect the applications that are disparate.
And you don't plan it like in the near future.
We have been asking for that feature to get done. So the three pieces of marketing information, which are not per language, per country, the imagery, and the pricing. And that sets the constraints under which all of this is described.
So this is all sort of going over what, within the constraints today that exist today. There are definitely other features that we're looking to bring on, such as solving some of these issues. But, you guys are, BlackBerry 10 is launching now, and those features won't be available, for a while. So you guys need to make money now. So this is your guidance on how to do so.
We want you to make money, get your downloads, and also be able to reach the customers that you want to reach across multiple countries and multiple languages. And arm you with the information in order to be as successful as you can given the way that the store operates. Multiple country, multiple languages, very similar. You'll see I'll just do a quick back and forth. The items in red are the key differences. So again, pricing and deep link, multiple SKUs versus multiple products versus a single product. You lose relevance around the, I'm sorry, this is incorrect. The language-specific feature image and language-specific screenshots should be no on option B, and yes for option C. Option C gives you the most relevance on a per country and language basis. Options B and A give you a little less relevance. Make sense?
Yep.
So going back to that decision tree that Peter showed earlier, what was presented earlier was the top flow, which is, okay, what do I do with my install base? If I want to keep them and help them move to BlackBerry 10 when they get their BlackBerry Z10 or Q10, I want to attach that BlackBerry 10 support to the existing product. And that kind of limits you to what you have today. If you're not worried about that and you want to submit a brand new product or multiple products based on the language and the country, we have this new area that we just opened up, the country and language considerations. And it really boils down to, does your target market speak a single language? If they do, focus on option A, because that gives you the most relevance for that language. Otherwise, submit a new product using options B or C in order to reach the audience that you need to reach. Just pause quickly for any questions on this, because the next topic gets into search optimization, which is brand new as of the end of January. And it's a way for you to have some control over the discovery that doesn't depend on people like Peter or myself to promote your products within the store or any additional kind of marketing investment.
Can you elaborate a little bit on in-app purchases relating to this thing?
Yeah.
Like how, I have not personally used in-app purchase in any of the apps, but in case I want to add in-app purchase, so obviously it has to be internationalized, and depending on the different countries, we may require different things. So
You'll have the same controls, yeah.
So in-app, so every in-app purchase has to be a new SKU?
No. So for each content or product SKU, you can associate digital goods with it, and you don't have to do that for every digital good. Like you can associate multiple digital goods to that one SKU.
If I just take an example of Farmville, So I can add 20, 30 digital goods to one app.
Yes,
So
you can.
the
Yes.
app name would be Farmville, and the digital goods can be any name and any country and any price.
Yeah, the name of the digital goods, I don't know if they have to be unique. It's a good question, actually. I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out. But you can upload, 30, 50, as many digital goods as you like.
Different SKUs for the
No, it's totally different. Yeah, the digital goods is pretty straightforward. You're essentially just pointing back to whatever that digital good is.
And you don't provide any hosting for the, like Apple provides the hosting for.
No, that's correct. Yeah,
You don't provide.
hosting of digital goods?
Yeah.
I do not believe so. No.
Well, maybe can you clarify what you mean by hosting?
Yeah.
So like Apple, I have not used it, but I heard that Apple is providing some hosting support from last year, like using iCloud or something. It is providing some hosting support. Like
Of the digital goods themselves?
digital goods themselves. I think this year.
Right.
Yeah, now.
So just to level set everyone, there's a few different monetization models. You can offer for free. You can offer a paid SKU where the customer has to buy it from the store. You can also offer a subscription, monthly subscription, and then the other one is an in-app purchase. So that can be done from a free app or a paid app or a subscription app. And all of that is done through the BlackBerry World system. So all the payment methods are controlled by BlackBerry in order to make that transaction flow rather seamless.
But the actual hosting of the digital good has to be on our server.
Correct.
Yeah, we have an item, a digital item that you register when you create the digital good. But the allocation of that good in terms of your product and what that means, whether it's a level or a sword or a ticket to a movie, that's all dependent on the developer. Any other questions about the?
Zach?
I've just been talking to one of the high-ups in the Asian marketing team, and he was saying that, we're here looking at BlackBerry 10, of course, yeah, but he was saying to me that we also want to look back as well, because they've just sold an amazing number of 8520s. Yep. BlackBerry 5. Oh, God.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we're definitely focusing on BlackBerry 10 in terms of a lot of what we're talking about today, just because there's a lot larger impacts in terms of the product management. It's a little bit easier actually on BlackBerry OS, so slightly. You don't have the platform variances. Or you could, I guess, if you wanted to go down that path, but it's not as necessary.
It's the emerging markets that he's particularly sort of like, mentioning to me, sort of like, the very cheap products.
Yeah, no. So there's a huge opportunity in Asia Pacific as well as the world. We have over 80 million subscribers on BlackBerry 5, 6, and 7. And millions of customers on our tablets as well. So those are definitely great markets to target, and it is a huge opportunity. And I'm sure lots of developers in the room could attest to, downloads and/or revenue they receive from those. So I guess in terms of your question, are you asking about what the opportunity is in those specific markets, or what is your specific question?
Some kind of hang on, what's selling best in. You're trying to get some hang on what's selling best in the given markets.
Yep.
And it's obviously confidential sales information for yourselves. So all I've been able to find out is that the just ended 8520s and such like are selling by sort of like bucket loads. For example, in I think it was Thailand or somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we haven't made them for a long time. There's definitely actually a lot of BlackBerry 7 sales in those markets. I do know that, but that's the same in around the world. Like there's lots of markets we continue to sell a lot of BlackBerry 7 devices. Some previous presentations of ours, actually last year as well as more recently in BlackBerry Jam Americas, we went through in quite a granular detail about how BlackBerry 7 actually was making up the largest part of the revenue and the largest part of the downloads across the board. So BlackBerry 7, before BlackBerry 10, starts to ramp up, is the largest money-making platform today. And in Asia Pac specifically, BlackBerry 7 is by far, like hands down, the largest moneymaker in that market. So I'm very shocked. I think that's a very inaccurate statement that person might have made, or maybe you misunderstood. But there's definitely the numbers that we have in terms of the storefront sales and the downloads, staggering in Asia Pacific. It's a lot of 9790, which is the QWERTY bold device in that market. So yeah, we can take it. We have lots of decks on how to break that down in terms of other markets, but we really kind of wanted to focus today a little bit more on BlackBerry 10. So.
And we'll put our contact information at the end. So if you want to just email us, and if you happen to know the guy that gave you the information, we can make sure we get the right information to you.
Yeah.
So search is a very important part of lots of people's worlds. Now it's important to BlackBerry world as well. So with the 4.3 release, which happened in late January, there was a big change to the algorithm. It introduced the concept of keywords. And keywords are both platform and language specific. This is something that you have under your control in order to help get your app promoted through organic search. There is no paid search. It's all organic. And the 4 pieces of information that are used by that algorithm are listed there: name, keywords, your vendor name, and the short description. For those of you who have products on BBOS or Playbook, it's also important to note that the long description is no longer used in the search algorithm. We did do some email communication on this, but it's an important thing to maybe optimize now the keywords and not rely on padding the long description full of essentially what were keywords before.
Do keywords take the plural form into account, the singular plural forms into account, or do you have to put them both in if you have both covered?
The question is, do keywords take the singular and plural form into account? And the answer is no, but if you have the singular and someone types in the plural, the singular will get recognized.
So it takes parts of
It takes parts, yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah. And I'll go through a lot of the details. If you could just maybe let me get through some of this, and then.
Will you be sharing the presentation?
I think all the presentations.
They're available after the show, so they're all downloadable.
Yeah.
So you can go through it.
And for those who are current vendors in App World, this should have received an email from us highlighting the fact that search has changed. And a lot of this content is similar to what's in that email. So just the 3 pieces which are not keywords, I just want to quickly touch on them and then go to keywords, because there's a lot of stuff about keywords which are important. The product name is the first thing. As we talked about previously, it can be platform specific. So for those who want to differentiate their Playbook or BlackBerry 10 or smartphone app, you can do that through the title. Vendor name, you only have one vendor name. There's no language or platform variation. And then short description. So short description is used and shown in the item detail screen. It's also shown in the search results that Peter showed earlier in terms of the screen. But that's the least most important piece.
Can I ask a question? The vendor name, there is a field which we have to fill, but like it takes automatically from the first time we put a vendor name, it takes automatically from that. But every time it asks us for a vendor name. So sometimes within a same company there are 2-3 teams, or different within a group there are 2-3 companies. So there is no way we can put different names in single account.
So the questions around vendor name and single account, I would say go to the BlackBerry World booth and ask that question to them, because I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah.
The guys at the BlackBerry World booth are actually experts in the process of getting things loaded and registered. Keywords, second most important thing that the algorithm looks at. They were just added, and you can change them, and they go into effect within about 8 hours. And they're platform and language specific, so that's per pairing, and we'll go into a little bit of that here. You can do up to 10, and that's per platform and language pair. So French for BlackBerry OS, you can have up to 10 keywords. And each of those is about 100 characters. So for example, built for BlackBerry, that's an important keyword. This really gives you the ability to tune by platform and by language in order to get your product recognized in the search. And a lot of the research that we've seen, both on our platform and competitive platforms, that search is a very popular way to find products. I mean, a competitor of ours just redesigned their entire store around a better search interface. There's a maximum length of how many characters can be put in. And there's some term frequency that you can use to your advantage in order to get your product recognized. Term proximity, based on how the consumer does their search, it'll look at how close those terms are together, and it'll return the ones first which are closer to those terms. So the example there, built for BlackBerry, built for the BlackBerry, and since the consumer searches built BlackBerry, app number 1 gets a better ranking. Why? Because the space between built and BlackBerry is shorter in app 1 than app 2. And then lastly, relevance. This is more of a policy, where we're looking for you not to put in competitive products in order to pump up your search results. So if you have a puzzle game that's Tetris-like, don't put Tetris in your keyword. And if there happens to be something happening in the world today, a major news story, don't change your keyword to make that major news story in your app, just so people don't find it. So the purpose of this is to be very transparent in order to help you get more eyeballs onto your product by giving you some details that I would say our competition doesn't expose to people. And we hope that you can use this in order to get better hit rates, and better downloads, and you can also do your own search engine optimization as well, because you have control of these keywords. So that's who we are. That's our email addresses. We love to hear from you guys over email. We're all BlackBerry now.
And again, the decks are all available online, so you'll be able to get them and download them for all the sessions. So question and answers?
Yeah, just open questions, answers about anything we talked about or anything that we didn't talk about in order to, I'll just leave that up there.
Yes? We have a couple.
Microphone's coming.
Is there any preference given to localized apps in local app stores? Or do they just get all intermingled with, say for example, we've got a French app store, several French apps, but the rest are in English. Are they all just mixed up? Or is there some sensible ordering such that poor French people get to see French apps in French before they get to see all the other stuff, which is less of a problem for, say, France, but a bit more of a problem for, say, Chinese versus Romanians?
There's no order given to the French apps in this particular case. However, in terms of what we promote on the feature carousel, let me just show it, which is the most important real estate probably in the entire store. I guess we won't get that fast. Our teams focus on local. So if there are brands and apps that are localized, the goal is that we promote those because we're really striving for a local store experience. Now, there are requests to improve the way that language and country is represented in other parts of the store. But in terms of that premier slot, which is controlled by people making editorial decisions on our team, we are driving for local language, local focus, with the exception of certain markets which we don't have a kind of full.
And the micro banners as well, which are also editorial, those will be local. So essentially the top half of that screen on the left, that's all will be local. In just about every major market, I would say. For the really, ones that are smaller, we may not have, complete focus on there, and we'll put up whatever we can that makes sense. But whereas the lists and stuff, as Jeff said, it's definitely a feature we want to have. It's high on our list of things to have in the near future. So,
I mean, as a developer, having spent several £1,000s per language translating products, it becomes extremely frustrating that it's just intermingled with all of the other stuff that's not necessarily that relevant to that territory.
Yeah, so you can optimize, like Jeff said, on keywords, so the search will work. All the editorial feature items will work. It's just some of the top lists will not work. Well, sorry, and then there's some metadata attributes such as screenshots that we're definitely looking to get. It's just right now we don't have that. So.
But the solution for the screenshots and the feature image would be a French-specific product.
Yeah, then it becomes really difficult to maintain and manage.
Yeah.
17.
Well, you can have one binary,
Yeah,
and then you just have
resubmitting.
multiple. You have to maintain multiple students.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, and that's why the product management team, who actually makes the ultimate decisions for the features, we're going to show them this video. So,
Yeah, it's not news. It's been like that for 3 years, and we're definitely looking to improve that. And we've made actually some enhancements, so things are coming, and that's definitely a hot topic for the future.
What's the criteria like? Is there any formal way?
we're going to bring the microphone to you.
Is there any formal way to get featured on the app world, or like, is it just like we come to a conference and like I show you the app and you like and you just feature it?
Take them out to dinner. No, it's there is an email address. It's BlackBerry World Marketing at rim.com or at blackberry.com. So you can email us, and we accept all self-nominations, so you can nominate yourself to be featured. We ask you to tell us why and what's different about your app, and we'll take a look. So we have a whole team that looks at that every day, and they'll look, and if they believe your content is of good quality and something we want to feature in specific markets or maybe the world, then we will feature it.
Do you feature for specific categories also, like?
So we have different, obviously, I mean, there's, within the storefront itself, you can go to, this is the home screen, but in the bottom left corner, you can, click and go to, there's an apps, channel, there's a games channel. And then for music and video, it's a little bit different. It's that's sort of self-driven, but for the apps and games, those are the main channels. And then within there, there's categories. In terms of the feature placements, yeah, we definitely, we have a set of merchandising principles internally that we all follow and adhere to, and we try to mix up categories, free and paid, you name it. We really want to mix it up, refresh it, so that there's new content, weekly, and Built for BlackBerry, you'll start to see a lot more of. So you heard Alec talk today about Built for BlackBerry getting more exposure on the storefront. So as more and more built, because that's really an assertion or a certification of quality. So we really want to promote that. So that's another great way to when you email us, say, hey, I'm BlackBerry certified, but we'll also be looking proactively for BlackBerry certified apps as well. So keep that in mind. There's another question back up there.
This question, I think there's also a vendor portal online where you can submit your app to be featured, and you complete a bunch of fields.
There is actually a.
It's not very old. It's just been implemented like a couple months ago or weeks.
Yeah, there's a marketing portal that's we've tested it with a few vendors, so maybe you're one of the few that were invited. So maybe that was it. That's not really live yet, but
beta test.
Yeah, that's something we're looking to do in the near future, is to make it a little bit easier versus just emailing. We like to sort of have a little more automated way, so to speak.
But our overall philosophy is a mixture of premium or paid and free apps, because we know some people need to make money. Local is also important, and quality. And just like most retailers, they don't necessarily tell all their vendors how they do their end caps. Right? This is like the end cap space in a store. And we ultimately make some decisions based on a myriad of factors. But talking to us at a conference and showing us your app or emailing us stuff doesn't hurt. We actually encourage that. Our objective is to learn more about what you have so that we can help promote you. And sometimes all it takes is, a little bit of time. That's why we come here. We come here to meet partners, vendors. Apple doesn't do stuff like this, right? That's why we're trying to be a little different.
There's one over here. I think this guy, I don't know.
Is there any limitation screenshots? Like, does it need to be really screenshots, or is it like a picture and there's like a bunch of images, which is okay? So starting from beginning, is there any limitation about screenshots? Because sometimes, for example, in Apple, they don't agree to publish app if there is something like we try to do, like an image. Like few screenshots shown on one image with some basic functionalities, which is more like some collage of images, and so if there isn't a problem.
So actually, it'd be great for you to check out the session. Actually, I was also just in BlackBerry JAM307. I went through a bunch of policy stuff around what you can and cannot submit. There's a whole document that's also available in the vendor portal, so please check that out. And I will give you guidance on a lot of those details. That specific example should be fine so long as there are not any competitive devices or anything like that. But you can review that and check it out in the policy for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, got a bunch in the back.
We're going to follow her lead. She's got the microphone.
Hi. Can we link two applications together? Like if I make a free application and I would like to link it to the payable application, how can I do that?
I think the best way to do that would be to create one application and use the in-app purchasing capability. So you give it away for free, and then within your app, at some point, you show the ability to upgrade to the premium version. And then you'll execute a transaction, which is a virtual good on the system. And all the payment will happen through BlackBerry World. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. And then you'll get a notice that the virtual good was purchased, and then you can enable the new functionality. So it's really one product. And the other important thing about that model is, in the past, in our current systems, we did not have this notion of a top grossing list. We're going to have that for BlackBerry World on BB10, and that will allow partners who take the freemium model to get recognized for that in-app purchase revenue. That's something we were very late to the market on. We now have it. It'll be there. So the folks who adopt the freemium model by having one product as opposed to two will be rewarded by placement in that list, which is all an algorithm. If you want to do it your way, you can create two products and then have a link.
But there's no way to link them.
Within the app.
No, but not separate SKUs.
Sorry?
The top layer is the same, but one is it's two-part application, which is not actually just the top layer is the same, so it's complicated.
Okay, well maybe after the
we can walk through it
session,
after.
We can help you think about ways to organize it.
Do you have any APIs for?
We're just going to follow the. There's a few questions in the back.
Some in the back.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy back up next over there.
Hi, my name is Nicola. I run a studio for games in Macedonia. We just won the Game Founders Award. We are also running the BlackBerry development group for Macedonia. So we're up with Branko, etc.
That's awesome.
We were at the Portaton. Porta's 20 games that we had. We have over 200 in our catalog, and we like to port them all, but also improve product quality because our games were online games, short flash games, etc. We just like to scale them up. About the cross-platform, I mean cross-language distribution things. Some of our games have language select in them, like on the old PC games where you can choose Spanish, English, etc. Should we do maybe a separate game for if you have a specific Spanish version, or should we include this if it is a multi-language system? How should we organize that? Because it might affect the descriptions, it might affect the keywords, because especially in Spanish you have to write juegos instead of games or something like that. So and also for the search algorithm, what if when you type BlackBerry Jam Europe and then you type BlackBerry Jam Europe 10, which one will show up first? I mean,
so there's two questions there. One is about you've got a multi-language game, and what's the best way to organize your products in BlackBerry World? You really have the two choices, I think, because you're going after multiple countries and multiple languages. One is option B, which is one product, just a very generic feature image. Again, probably no language in it, which you might be able to do fine with a great screenshot or icons. Usually games, yeah. So from there, your screenshot and your image are the only limitation. Everything else can be per language. And obviously, you control the UI in the game, in the binary. We don't control that. I would recommend that approach if you can do it. If that's insufficient and you think you need to be really targeted toward, French, Spanish, German, English.
Maybe we can make some of the screenshots in different languages or something like that.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, or gameplay tends to be very visual, as opposed to having language in it.
Yeah.
So games probably would lend themselves to more of that option B in order to go to multiple countries.
Okay, thank you.
And there's in the back there was a.
I was wondering what you were doing to fight piracy.
Piracy.
Lots of Android apps, for example, are just being converted and released into the BlackBerry world. And how do users report them?
So we're trying to take both a reactive and proactive approach. We've definitely recognized that. And actually also in the previous session of JAM346, there's a bit of discussion around that. So yeah, we're doing everything we can. As soon as we hear about it, we're absolutely taking a look at it, both in terms of piracy and working with vendors who own those rights or the IP for that content. And then proactively as well, we're trying to ensure we actually do vet everything that goes through the store, but some people may not didn't know that Fruit Slasher or something like that was a knockoff of an IP. So that's something that we're trying to get better at as well. So we're those people that vet the apps are looking for that sort of stuff, like copycats and all that sort of stuff, and we're getting better at that proactively. Yep. So I think there's questions down here and then there.
Out of time.
Oh, we're out of time.
Okay.
Oh, we're blinking.
Is there another session in here? Do you know? Yes. Okay. So we have to.
All right. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to come on up, and we'll do our best. Or may have to go outside, but
yeah, maybe
that's a better idea. We'll go outside and you guys can talk to us outside.
Thank you.
Thanks.